You know, it's not always fun bringing you guys esports news because a lot of times the stories they're pretty sad. Of course, I hope you guys all enjoyed though. Welcome back to more esports news. My name is Jake. This story today, another trickle-down effect of the Infinite Entertainment. Of course, they originally had bought out OpTic Gaming. They have now been sold to Immortals, and thus now being said, Immortals does own everything OpTic Gaming once owned, and one of those things that Infinite had once owned alongside OpTic was Obey Alliance. I know that was a wide variety of things to be saying to all of you guys, but pretty much sweet and short, it should be Obey Alliance. Probably, most likely, I'm going to assume so, shutting down sometime soon. Now that Immortals has actually taken ownership of Infinite Entertainment and everything underneath them, that does of course give them control of Obey, and we have seen as of recently a few members leaving, including the general manager, some streamers, so on and so forth. Only a few players remaining inside Obey to see what happens, and it just does not look too good. And this might have been foreseeable by any of you guys who are actually diehard Obey fans, been following them on their biggest platforms, I would say impressions wise, being YouTube and Twitter. They've certainly had an impact on the esports and gaming community, and to see this now being slowly brought to a close, or at least we think so, we're going to be weary going forward. And again, it just kind of sucks to see. That being said though, it might have been foreseeable because ever since that acquisition by Infinite of Obey, where they brought in funding and of course took up majority ownership of Obey Alliance going forward back in 2018, we saw within a few months several teams being dropped, several restructurings, and I'll talk about some other points here in a second, but you guys might have seen this, you know, H1Z1, Fortnite, Rainbow Six. Alongside that, they also had a Smite team go away as well, and we had definitely seen a very similar crossover to this restructuring, you know, these giving away of teams, you know, all around the same months or so. We saw the exact same things when it came to OpTic Gaming and all of the teams they had expanded into when Infinite came in, and shortly afterwards, those same teams were all being gone and away. You know, we saw PUBG, we saw several CS teams. Alongside that, we saw Dota 2. They almost even dropped their Call of Duty team. You can hear the stupidity when I say that. It's automatic. But with those crossovers being stated, right around the same time where Infinite began ownership of OpTic Gaming as well as Obey, they had expanded into several esports across both organizations, and very shortly afterwards, they brought those teams back in. They dropped a lot of those teams, a ton of those players, and it all starts to make a lot of sense. And also the crossover as well, the things you never really understand when looking out from an outside eye, because Infinite actually had ownership of Obey and OpTic, it was kind of weird to see they actually had teams in different esports. You know, like I said, for OpTic had the PUBG, the Dotas, you know, the main brand names as well that they still actually have existing, and then you had Obey with the Fortnites, the Rainbow Six Sieges, the H1Z1s, the Smites, the teams that OpTic were not a part of. Unfortunately enough, though, we saw all of those teams being dropped, and actually as of yesterday as well, the biggest news out there, the former general manager of Obey has also now stepped down, and in his Twitlonger, a very decisive, I would say a lot of things released in the Twitlonger as well. I will link down below his Twitter and Twitlonger for you guys. He said some things that just line up exactly to what you would think about Infinite and their time owning and operating in esports. It just has not made much sense. The statement that struck me most inside his Twitlonger was the one as follows: "When I accepted the offer from Infinite, I accepted based on the hope that there would finally be more than 2 people running this org of ours. That was what I was promised and what it started out being. Unfortunately, that's exactly opposite of what it transpired to be in later 2018, and as time progressed, it only got ever worse. Instead of receiving help, I basically was left running Obey with Jaw by ourselves. Whilst I'm extremely grateful for the funding Infinite provided Obey, of which enabled us to have the incredible year, it fell short on every other level for the past 8 months. Since Infinite failed to pay Obey any real attention, the brand did not capitalize at all off of a stellar year. Whilst I have kept my mouth shut through the months about Obey's relationship with Infinite, I owe it to you guys to exactly why I've come to this decision. It has been incredibly difficult." And like I said before, the crossover, well, it's pretty incredible to see one overstellar organization, or I should say company, comes in to buy you out, and all of a sudden you have uppers. We've seen several content creators from OpTic as well come out about this. You know, other voices as well have voiced their opinions on the upper management inside Infinite, who clearly did not know what decisions to actually make and how to run an esports organization, let alone 2 of them, that being Obey alongside OpTic. And we have now seen, unfortunately enough, the trickle-down effect, the shutting down of seemingly eventually both these brands. Although OpTic is now confirmed they will continue in at least Call of Duty as well as that content side of things, Obey does not seem near as lucky. So it's very, not to rhyme there, it's very sucky to see the repercussions facing a lot of these players and members out there, because they might have chosen the wrong investor to come in and take over all of the operations. So with all this being said, there's former general manager stepping down, other players doing so as well. I would assume a reconsolidation of Immortals and everything underneath their umbrella now, which would likely include Obey and that name, the future of which we currently have no idea. I've actually reached out to the general manager, the former one, for Obey for any comment on this, guys, and I will keep you posted as it does continue to go down. It's just very unfortunate to see inexperienced companies out there with large backings take over organizations and brands and pretty much now run them into the ground. As always, though, I'm super curious what you guys think about this. The future of Obey, can they remain in content just like OpTic did, is certainly the huge question going forward. My name is Jake. I hope you guys all enjoy. I'll be back here all week long and next week long, as per usual, daily, breaking down more esports news for all of you. I hope you guys all enjoy, and until next time, take care.